Hi, it's Kara again, the Bewitched Housewife, and I just have one final thought. I wanted to make a video on. I was going to make a blog, but this is less monotonous, and this is like really crazy big thinking. But you know how I'm into like Ancestry.com and genealogy and family history? Well, for two reasons. Number one, I think there is a possibility we could be reincarnated. Number two, if it's not reincarnation, I do think that we carry ancestral energy, ancestral karma, ancestral, whatever you want to call it. I just think that we're more tied to these past people than we think we are. And maybe that's wishful thinking, but in a lot of ways, I think that if your ancestors lived with a lot of fear or anxiety, then you probably carry that and you have no idea. Like, one thing for me is I have always hated red tape. Red tape, not literal red tape. I mean, like, just like when you go to the DMV and you need like 700 different documents to prove you exist and why. I'm not going to go off on that tangent. Not going to go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, and I've also like not been super, got to make sure the raccoons aren't getting me. I haven't been like super embraceful of like authority. And it's not that I do bad things or that. I have always wrestled with someone being able to come in and tell you exactly how to live your life. And my father's like that. My mother was like that. God rest her soul. Just not fitting into the norm, not wanting to be pigeonholed, I guess you could say. So there's a balance to that. My daughter had her Girl Scout meeting today, and they were talking about the respecting your authority badge, and I'm sure I was the only parent who rolled my eyes. Bad mommy. And I do honor authority, but I also question it. Man, I just sound like I'm totally a rebel, but really I'm not a rebel. I just question things. But anyway, so here's my thought, okay? So in one trait of my genealogy, if they are my ancestors, they worked at some point for a couple of the King Henrys. Don't ask me which ones. I'm just like horrible with Roman numerals. So I think it's Henry III, Henry IV. And there was some falling out, because one was a constable and they were trying to establish the Church of England. And I guess at one point my ancestor did not want, that to happen, kind of questioning like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. So the King Henry had him hung on market day in the market, which is like a really, really big slam to you. And then I picked up this book. It's actually made for youth, but it was about living in the Middle Ages, and I didn't know it would be just around that same area. But the first page was about a robber who was like lord of a certain village during King Henry III's reign, or King Henry IV. And to just see, drawings of that land and what it was like to be a free peasant and a non-free peasant just really got me thinking. Number one, I need to check the names and see if this was connected to us or if this was like somewhere else in the land. But also, just a feeling that, these people lived under such strong oppression for so long, for so many generations. And right towards the later 1600s, they just came out to America and apparently became Puritans, or maybe they were Puritans at that point. And I'm speaking over generations, because I know I'm skipping hundreds of years at this point. But when I was outside in Florida tonight, I was just thinking of all the things that had to happen. All the people who had to want better or got fed up to the point where I magically am here in Florida. So I guess what I'm saying this late at night is that it just got me thinking of maybe our struggles, our ancestors' struggles, maybe not the physical things we're doing, but the same emotional ties, the same drives. Something to think about. Anyway, the raccoon sounds are creeping me out too much to make sense, so I'm going to sign off tonight. Alright? But feel free to comment about your own ancestry, and do you feel like ancestral energies or karma or even just pulls inside of your system tie you to the past? Or do you think that maybe you were reincarnated? Or do you think reincarnation is just crap? I do hold on to the fact that energy just keeps going and going, so we have to go somewhere. Alright. Good night.